Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'm going to be going over the weather for November 20th of 2023, and currently we have an enhanced risk for the Mississippi River Valley, for northern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and parts of eastern Texas. As for threats for today, you can see as far as our tornado threat, we do have a 10% tornado threat, with the possibility of some of those tornadoes being strong, and weak tornadoes are expected for today. Um, and that's going to be the primary threat for the enhanced risk for today. And then taking a look at our wind threat, we also have a 30% wind threat, which would lead up to a enhanced risk by itself. However, the primary threat by far is going to be the tornado threat for today, but we could still see some damaging winds. And then as for our hail threat, we do have a 15% hail threat for the areas affected. And then let's take a look at our day 2 outlook. We currently have a slight risk for southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle, the marginal threat for the Dixie states into the Atlantic Basin. As for threats for tomorrow, we currently have a 5% tornado threat with a fairly large 2% tornado threat for the rest of the marginal threat. Then as for our damaging wind threat, we do have a 5% damaging wind threat for the entirety of the area affected. And then taking a look at our hail threat, we don't really have all that much of a hail threat for tomorrow. And then for our day 3 outlook, we don't really have all that many. We don't have anything currently forecasted for organized severe thunderstorms. Taking a look at our WPC outlooks, something I do want to note about any outlook that I look at on this channel is that they are subject to change and they aren't entirely set in stone between now and then. So these outlooks may be different by the time they do roll around. However, for today we have a marginal threat for the Mississippi River Valley where we are expected to see our thunderstorms for today. And for tomorrow we have a marginal threat for flash flooding for the Dixie states up across the Appalachian region and the Atlantic Basin to southern New Jersey. And then for our day 3, our day 4, and our day 5 outlook, we don't have any currently issued locations for flash flooding. And then let's take a look at our heavy snow forecast. For today, we aren't really expected to see too much heavy snow, but we could possibly see a little bit of heavy snow. But snow should mostly be light across parts of Wyoming and Colorado. And then let's take a look at our front analysis and what's actually going to be triggering our severe thunderstorms for today. Notice that cold front that we have draped across Texas that did trigger severe thunderstorms yesterday in Oklahoma. As this propagates eastward, it's a little bit behind, so we do have a couple hours before it does arrive and start triggering severe thunderstorms, but it is inching closer, so we don't really have all that much time left before it does impact, but at the time of making this, I do think I have around 1 to 2 hours before thunderstorms are expected to be triggered. But the primary triggering factor is going to be that cold front. Taking a look at our weather model, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do, focusing on the enhanced risk region for the Mississippi River Valley. You can see the very strong trough that we've been tracking the last couple of days. You can see a very prominent directional shear and veering in the winds, and some spread in those isobars. So 500 millibars isn't really something that you want to be looking at for defluence in the atmosphere, but it does help a little bit with it. And defluence is when those isobars spread apart, and that leaves a void in the atmosphere, and the atmosphere uses air from lower parts of the atmosphere to rise up and fill that gap, which gives you large scale lift. And you can just see the amount of spreading of the isobars is going to be quite prominent, especially at 500 millibars. So we are expected to see quite a bit of lift to support that threat for severe thunderstorms for today. And then notice this stronger jet back behind everything else, with a mid-level flow that is getting up to 100 miles per hour. This is back behind the cold front or traveling along with it. And as the cold front arrives and triggers severe thunderstorms, this strong jet should amplify a little bit and then feed into the area, supporting our severe thunderstorms a little bit more. And overall, it should just give it a ton of directional shear from very prominent veering the winds, plus the extremely strong just sheer strength of the mid-level flow. Taking a look at our composite reflectivity, I'm going to be focusing on our composite reflectivity so you guys can get an idea of when and where you guys should be able to see our severe thunderstorms for today. So let's start off with what's going on right now. As of right now, we aren't really seeing too much development. We do have a little bit of rain showers back where we are expected to see those severe thunderstorms begin developing in eastern Texas, as well as quite a bit of rain showers up along the cold front in the rest of the trough through the Midwest and back into the Central Plains. As that cold front continues to push eastward, though, it is expected to trigger severe thunderstorms around 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And you can see on 4 p.m. we have a very prominent line of mature supercells through eastern Texas into northern Louisiana, which is probably going to be posing a hazard to Nat Natchitoches in northern Louisiana. I probably pronounced that absolutely terribly, and I'm sorry, but you can just see a very prominent line of fairly mature supercells extending from Houston up to northern Louisiana, and that's going to be what we're going to be focusing on, not only in the live stream later today, but also as far as our threat for severe thunderstorms, and those are also going to be producing some hail and damaging winds. And then around 5 p.m., which I think should be around 4 p.m. Central Time, those supercells are going to be posing a threat to that town that I terribly mispronounced, and moving eastward out of the Houston area and getting more so back into Louisiana around 5 p.m. And those should continue to push eastward, and around 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. you can really see those kind of just fizzle out, but could potentially pose a threat to Alexandria in central Louisiana around 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is going to be around 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. And you can still see it's still producing heavy rain, still producing some hail. We may be able to see a little bit of a tornado threat with this. However, the mature prominent supercells on our HRR R models have fizzled out. And as those continue eastward, around 10 p.m., those should be entering into Mississippi, producing heavy rain and some hail and possibly some spin up in the atmosphere and the threat for some remaining tornadoes. And then you can see around overnight, we are expected to see a little bit more of a pickup in those supercells around 12 a.m. or midnight, which is going to be around 11 p.m. Central Time. You can see some more prominent supercells. It's not amazing compared to especially compared to what we had in Eastern Texas around 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. But you can still see those supercells are still there, and it's fairly prominent on our HER models. So that is going to be quite a bit of a big threat as far as tornadic development overnight in Mississippi, and then around 3 a.m. those should continue to push off eastward. Around I think around 3 a.m. to possibly 4 a.m., which is going to be around 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Um, we should see that line of rain showers and thunderstorms and possibly some supercells pushing into Alabama. And then you can see around that time as well, New Orleans should be at its greatest threat with quite a bit of heavy rain showers with maybe some supercells around that mixed in with there. It's not really all that apparent. Can't really tell that they're supercells, but they could be rotating on our HER models, but we just can't really see it. So some of these may be supercells, and that could pose a very early morning to late at night threat for tornadoes to New Orleans around 4 a.m. to 2 a.m. Taking a look at our dew points, focusing on the enhanced risk region and the entire Mississippi River Valley, you can see as that low pressure system continues to propagate eastward, that is going to provide strong southerly flow out of the Gulf of Mexico and somewhat continuously replenish any moisture that's used up by our severe thunderstorms and supercells. Um, by the time they do begin developing. And that constant southerly flow out of the Gulf of Mexico is again going to continue to replenish moisture to those storms, keeping them going for a very long time, leading to some fairly long track storms and the threat for some long track tornadoes as well with that. But overall, our dew points are definitely fairly strong, with dew points that are going to be getting into the upper 70s and the low to mid 60s. Taking a look at our temperatures, focusing on the enhanced risk region, you can see we are expected to have some fairly warm temperatures for this area. We are expected to see temperatures that are going to be ranging anywhere from the low 80s into the mid to possibly the low 70s, getting as low as possibly the upper and mid 60s. So it's going to be fairly warm across that region, and that's going to support quite a bit of instability with the dew points that we currently have. And then let's take a look at some of the more widespread temperatures in some other parts of the United States. In the New England corridor here, you can see we are seeing temperatures that are going to be getting below freezing, so that's something to be watching out for. And then you can see in the north here where we have a cold front that is coming out of Canada. We are expected to see some temperatures that are going to be getting below freezing for Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota, and possibly parts of Nebraska back behind that cold front at night. So that is also something to be watching out for. Taking a look at our instability, focusing on the enhanced risk region, you can see we are expected to have some fairly moderate instability. We are expected to see Cape values are going to be ranging anywhere from the mid 1000s up to the low 2000s. Overall, it doesn't look too good on paper. However, if you think about it, this is going to be enough to fuel the threat for severe thunderstorms. We don't need a crazy amount of instability to be able to see the threat for tornadoes. Plus, with the constant replenishment from the Gulf of Mexico and that southerly flow, that is going to be supporting our severe thunderstorms for quite a while, including overnight. So, again, we are expected to see enough instability that is going to be supportive of the threat for a few tornadoes, that some could be strong, damaging winds, and some hail. Taking a look at our energy holistic index values, notice how overall widespread we are seeing some fairly strong energy holistic index values that are going to be ranging anywhere from 2.5 up to 3.5, with some areas that are going to be stronger than others, like right there, right there, right here, and right here. And you can see those in a line, which is going along with those line of supercells that I was mentioning previously. And energy holistic index values are getting up to 12.7, right where our HER models would be indicating a tornado ongoing. So again, where we are seeing those stronger energy holistic index values is indicating that not only could we see a couple tornadoes today, but some of those tornadoes could be strong. Taking a look at our SIGTOR values, you can see we are having some fairly strong SIGTOR readings widespread, with some of those more stronger locations in some of those different splotches there where we have stronger SIGTOR values, possibly getting up to like 5.0 in some regions. And those stronger splotches of SIGTOR readings, with more widespread, fairly strong SIGTOR readings, is fairly prominent and very long lasting for pretty much the entire day today. So again, we are expected to see the threat for a few tornadoes, and again, some of those tornadoes could be strong, and that is both supportive of our SIGTOR readings and our energy holistic index values. Taking a look at our observed soundings for the regions, uh, let's start off with northern Louisiana there, on the border of Texas. You can see some fairly strong curvature in the low levels of the photograph. Overall, it's not that great as of right now. However, this is expected to get stronger as that jet that I was talking about earlier increases in feeds into the region, we should see that low level curvature in the photographs increase over time. And then as of right now, we have some fairly elongated photographs for the tail of that photograph. Um, and that should also increase with time as that low level jet and mid level jet strengthens into the region. And as of right now, we don't really have crazy strong instability, but we do have instability right now, and that instability should also increase over time as that southerly flow strengthens. But then let's take a look at some of the other regions around this area as well. Let's go to central Mississippi here, which is a little bit more out of the ways, but you can still see a little bit of curvature in the low levels of that autograph, as well as a little bit of instability. It's not all that great. As well as that elongated photographs being indicative of some hail. And then let's go to southwestern Louisiana there, where you can see a much better curvature in the low levels of that photograph, and a very strong, very elongated photographs indicative of some hail, and overall not that much instability, but again, that's going to increase with time. And then let's go to the New Orleans area where you can see, again, just much better curvature in the low levels of that photograph, with still elongated photograph being indicative of the threat for hail. Um, in this region, though, we are still seeing some capping in place, as you can see. New Orleans and some other regions, we are still seeing some capping, especially New Orleans. There you can see that very strong cap in place, but you can see our moist layer is fairly deep. It's not extremely deep, but it is extending above 850 millibars. So we are having a fairly good moist profile, even if it's not terribly crazy. It is still fairly good. And overall, that cap should erode as that cold front gets closer, and the instability and low-level curvature of the photographs should also increase as that mid-level and low-level jet increases into the region, and that cold front grows closer. So overall, it doesn't look too crazy right now, but overall, it should increase with time. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. And if you live in any of the areas that I covered for today, please stay weather alert for the time being. And if you notice anything wrong with this forecast, or you would like to make a suggestion or ask a question, please leave a comment. Two other channels that I highly suggest you check out are One Nation Weather and Weather Watcher. The links to their channels will be in the description. I think One Nation Weather will be going live later today. Weather Watcher is already live and will be live streaming all day. And I should also be going live later today, closer to storm development. Um, so if you are concerned about the weather, or you want live updates for it, I suggest you check out mine, Weather Watcher, or One Nation Weather's live streams. And hopefully I should be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.